Hello, my name's Dan L. I'm one of the migration engineers at Zumasys, and I've been asked to put together a little video on our migration station. You'll find this stuff under our knowledge base, and it will kind of explain the first steps of a migration. And I'm going to go over creating a compatible backup from your D3 Linux system to be restored onto jBASE and to migrate your system. So the very first thing we need to do is to set up a device under D3 that is compatible across over to jBASE. So we're going to log into our DM account on D3, and we're going to look at what devices we already have out there. If you do a list-device, you're probably always going to see that number 2 device there that says 2 compressed 500K user lib pick DT. That will be a tape that would go over to jBASE. The problem is user lib pick DT is the original data that you get from pick. So what we're going to do is change that line to a different file that we'll be using to do our backup, and then we'll change it back when we're done. So we've done a list device. We see that this line number 2 has that information on it, and that should be the same on your system. If it's not, then you'll want to contact us directly. But like I said, that is the default, and most people do not change that. So we're going to change that device with a change device command. So it's change dash device, and then whatever number it was, which in this case is 2. And we're going to just simply change the name of it to be where we want to put the data for jBASE. Now, I happen to know that I have a large directory out there called data where I can back this file up to. If you are not sure where that you have that space, we'll go over that in just a second. I'll show you how to see how much disk space you have on your system and where you would want to locate this. But this is just going to be the full path to where we're going to put this data. So we're going to say /data /jbase backup .gz, because when it is backed up, you see where it says the word compressed. That's the same thing. It means it's gzipped, and it's in a compressed format. So the official name or suffix for that is a .gz. So we're going to do that, which we'll go ahead and change that over to that new device. So now if I do a from D3 do the bang with a df-h, it's going to show me how much disk space I have in different directories. And in this case, I've got 22 gigs worth of space available in my / directory, and I've got 6.2 gigs available in my /u directory. So I probably could have used either one because this is a fairly small system. But I want to make sure I have the space where I'm going to be putting this. So I know I have a /data out there. I'm going to put it in /data, which is going to be under this root, or this 30 gig, which 22 gigs available. So I should have enough space to back all my information up to there. So you want to make sure you've got that. We've now changed the device to be that. So if I do a list-device, we'll now see that number 2, instead of being /user/lib/pick/dt, it is now /data/jbase backup.gz. That's going to be a compatible device. So I need to attach that device with a set-device. So I'll set-device 3, and you'll see that it comes back and tells me it's attached to that device and it's going to back it up. We then do a save, left paren fdst. F means files, D means data, S means statistics, and T means tape. It's just kind of a shortcut to your file save. But this one command will back up everything on your system into that compatible file. So then that file save tape label, if I hit return, it'll go ahead and start backing up the entire system. And you'll see that on the write-up But that's it. And then at that point, we will have a compatible backup tape of your D3 data. Now I'm going to go ahead, not worry about running it and taking the time during this process, but that would have run to completion when we hit enter. Then when it's complete, we just want to make sure that we set that device back in case it's needed for anything else. So again, if we do a list-device, we're going to see that it's device number 3, and now it's our new thing, or device number 2, I'm sorry, and it's our new thing. So now we're going to go ahead and do a change-device and change it back. So 2, and the name equals, and it's going to go back to /user/lib/pick/d. So now we've used the device, we've set it back. We'll have that file out there, that /data/jbase backup.gz, and we're ready to restore that onto our jBASE system. Now, how you're going to move it over to the jBASE system is up to you. You may be using a FTP, it may be on a local network, you'll be able to copy it over. It may have to go by tape, but some way it's going to go over to your jBASE Linux box. And that's what we'll go over next, is the command that we'll use, or commands that we'll use on that jBASE Linux box to refresh it onto jBASE. So here's our jBASE Linux box. I'm just going to jump over to here. And I've moved it already over to this directory. So I'm going to go CD to my U directory, which is where I put it. And I ls, and you'll see jBASE backup.gz. Now that GZ means that it was a compressed file tape. jBASE sys restore process cannot work with compressed files. So what we would need to do is unzip that. And that is in the write-up. It's called gunzip, G-U-N-Z-I-P. And we gunzip jBASE backup.gz. When that's complete, that's where this jBASE backup came from. So right now, if I do an ls-lh to just show the files that are in this directory, you'll see that the compressed backup was 960 megs, and the uncompressed one is 3.7 gigs. So it expands quite a bit, and that's the file that we'll be using for our restore into jBASE. Now, as far as restoring it into jBASE, again, we're going to do a df-h, see what kind of space we have on here. And I have a place called /big, which is got 38 gigs of used and 701 gigs of available space. So I'm going to probably put it on mine under /big. So I'm going to CD to /big. Not .big, but /big. And look, and under /big, I've got a data. So I'm going to put it under data here. So now when I look, I've got nothing in here, and I've got an empty directory in /big/data. Now, probably with your machine, it's going to be just /data, and that's the way it's documented. And that's the best idea, is to have a file system that's just separate for jBASE data and call it data. So we're going to now expand that information. And the way we're going to do that is use the jBASE restore command. So since we're using jBASE commands, we would initialize jBASE itself by what's called sourcing, or setting up all the environment variables, which the installer has put into a nice little script called opt jBASE current version and jBASE _env.sh. So it's the jBASE environment shell. And this is going to set it up so that now we can run jBASE commands. One of the first commands we're going to want to do is, this has probably been set up to emulate your D3, or to emulate your universe, or to emulate whatever you're coming from. In this case, it's D3. We want to unset that emulation because we are restoring it as pure jBASE originally. So we'll do an unset jBC emulate, which will unset that portion of the environment, and then we'll run our JSH. Our JSH is very similar to your D3 TCL. So now we're at what you would think of as TCL. And one of the first things you want to do is delete the tape file in case it's been used for something else. So we're going to delete file, opt, jBASE, current version. I got to spell it right. /temp, and it's called jdev attach. If it's not already there, because we haven't used it before, it'll give you back that error. If it was already there, it would simply delete the file, and you would then be able to run your next process. We just want to make sure we're starting out with a clean file. So we'll t-attach file 1. That's used for D3 restores. We do a device equal, and that device is going to be that file that we made on the backup machine that we then gun zipped. So we know that's in /u/jbase backup. And then it's going to be an R83 type of a release. So it's going to be, label is going to be R83, and they use a 500 byte label. And the block size, if you remember back on our list-device on D3, it says the size was 500. So it's a 500 byte block. That's going to go ahead and create that jdev attach file and then attach it. That's what's used as an interim in order to bring the things in from D3 and then restore them into jBASE. And then the last command is just simply a sys restore, which is our restore of D3, and we use a -C and a -D options. And the sys restore is fully documented on the knowledge base, but the -C and -D options are what you'll be using with D3. And then when we hit return, you'll see that it's restoring all the accounts. When this is all done, all of your data accounts, as you see them in D3, will be directories under this parent directory. All of the files within those data accounts will be files in those subdirectories. So if you have payroll and you have general ledger and you have order entry, those may show as parent directories here, and then you may have subdirectories underneath that, which would be customers, orders, invoices, etc., journal detail. So those will be brought down at this point. That's all there is to restoring your jBASE data. At this point, you could go in and list that data. You could count the data. You could use JQL processes against it. Our next video, the next thing you'll want to do is actually set up the environment the way you want it to be, and that will work the same for anybody regardless of how they've restored this data, whether it came from a D3 Linux box, as in this case, or some of the other videos we'll have our D3 Windows, Universe Linux. Once it comes in as jBASE, they're now jBASE files. So the next process will be the same regardless of where they came from, and that will be the next in this series. So if you have any other questions, or if you want to see the other series, please check us out on docs.jbase.com. And if you have any questions on this, the migration checklist that we're going over, or any of the other things with jBASE or the migration, check out docs.jbase.com, and it will give you the information you need. I appreciate the time, and good luck on your migration.